Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Name One Player podcast. My name is Nicole. I am your host. And first of all, I just want to say a huge thank you to every single person for hitting play today. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. Welcome back. I am so happy that you are here. I'm so glad that you listened to whatever episode that you listened to in the past and you thought, I'm coming back for this show right here. This is the good stuff. And I completely agree. I think you made the right decision there because this podcast really is great because the guests that we have really are just so cool. And we have another really cool one today, but I'll get into that. Don't you worry. I will get all into who we are interviewing today. But before we get into that, I do just want to say a huge welcome to anybody who's new, who's listening to the Name One Player podcast today. All my new listeners, welcome. I don't know how you found the podcast, but I am so. There's three so's. I'm triple so happy that you found the podcast today. And I'm so happy that you're here. The Name One Player podcast, it's really a simple concept. It's a place for women to talk openly about the sports that they love without ever being asked to name one player on the sports teams that they love. We aren't going to do that here. I probably will ask you, though, if you have any funny stories of when you've been asked to name one player, because majority of women do have one of those. Unfortunately, I laugh, but it's not funny. But what are you going to do? You have to laugh at that point. Otherwise, you might just cry. But you know what? No crying here today. Okay? No crying. It is July now. Happy July. And that means that we have an NFL game this month, which is crazy, honestly. I mean, preseason, it gets me excited for sure. But, you know, I shouldn't say it's not the real thing. It's the NFL, but it's not the regular season. It's preseason. So it is a preseason game. It is the Hall of Fame game. It is, I believe, the Lions versus the Chargers or the Rams. I don't even know. But it's exciting nonetheless. We are one step closer to football being back on our TV screens, and I can't wait. I really can't wait. For anybody who remembers, I used to live in Europe, and last season I moved home in like October. So still the first couple of games in Europe, obviously there's a time difference. So the games are on at night, and I didn't vibe with that personally. I didn't love it. A lot of people did like it, but I think it's because they've never experienced watching football in the Pacific time zone. Because I will argue till the end of time, Pacific time is the best time zone to watch football. It starts at 10 a.m. and ends 8:30ish, maybe 9, and you go to bed. You go to bed at a reasonable time. You wake up on Monday. The primetime games start at 5:30. Personally unbeatable to me. So I think 10 a.m. is the perfect start time. You know, you have enough time to wake up on Sunday morning, make yourself a nice breakfast. You know, depending on your Saturday night activities, you might be a little bit tired, but it also gives you enough time if you want to wake up, if you want to get a workout in. You have plenty of time to do that and be able to be back in your home on your couch by 10 a.m. and then watch football all day long. I can't wait. I can't wait. We are talking a little bit about football in today's episode. We have Courtney on with us today, and Courtney is a sports journalism student at Arizona State University. And it is so exciting to have somebody who is studying sports journalism specifically, because I have so many women in my comments, in my DMs, asking me what I studied in school, and I didn't study sports at all. I didn't. I have a psychology degree, and part of me is considering getting a master's in sports, in some sports related field, but that's a whole different conversation, actually. You know what? That might be something interesting to dive into, but not today, okay? Because today I want to get into our amazing conversation with Courtney. And like I said, Courtney's a sports journalism student at Arizona State University, and she has done some really cool things already with her degree. I'm going to let her tell you where she went, but she did something really cool on a global scale as a sports journalism student. And I think that just goes to show, like, she's still in school, so imagine the things that she's going to do when she actually has that degree in hand, when she's all done. I just think it's great. And I'm so excited for her to share her experiences with all of you lovely listeners today. And something I will spoil for you. Actually, no, I'll let her tell you about which team that she loves. But she loves a football team. And I personally, I don't really have anything major against this football team. What I will spoil is that it's not the Minnesota Vikings. She's not a Minnesota Vikings fan. This is not a Minnesota Vikings episode. We do, of course, talk about the Minnesota Vikings because duh, like obviously, I can't go 30 minutes without talking about the Minnesota Vikings. But we talk about her favorite football team, talk about some of the off-season moves, talk about how she feels, how she became a fan, all that good stuff. And it's gonna be a really good time, and I am really looking forward to it. So I think you've heard enough from me. I think I've rambled on enough. I really don't have anything else to say. I just have some questions for Courtney. So, without further ado, everybody, please welcome Courtney. All right, everybody. So we have Courtney here with us. Courts Reports. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be talking to you this morning. How are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm so happy too. I'm doing well. Sun is shining today. You're in Arizona, is that correct?
I am. I think it's actually supposed to get up to like 112 today. We've just been trying to stay cool over here.
All right, Courtney, so tell me and everybody listening today a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am Courtney DeWallaby. I'm going into my senior year of college at Arizona State University, which is so crazy to think about. I feel like I just graduated high school. So when they say it flies by, it really flies by. I'm actually hoping to graduate early in December instead of May.
Okay.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, one more semester left once I go back in August. Yeah, my major is sports journalism. My dream is to be a sideline reporter for the NFL. I'm actually from Tucson, which is 2 hours away, and that's where the University of Arizona is. So the big question is always, why not U of A? Why ASU
Okay.
could be rivals, in-state rivals? And it was simple. ASU has one of the best sports journalism programs in the country. U of A doesn't really have a journalism program. So
Okay.
that's why I chose ASU, and it's been the best choice for sure.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. So it sounds like you've known from a young age. Whenever I say that, I have that TikTok sound in my mind. Maddie knew who she was from a
She
very
was
young
from a
age.
very young age.
But did you know from a very young age that you wanted to be a sideline reporter, specifically for the NFL?
Yes. So I grew up playing sports all my life. I did competitive cheer when I was really little, so I spent a ton of time with my
Same.
mom. Really?
Love
Oh
that.
my gosh. Okay, we'll definitely have to talk about that because that's its own world in itself.
World. Yes, absolutely. That just reminded me, I should totally do an all-star cheer episode. Like, I don't
Yes.
know why that's never crossed my
No,
mind.
because it's funny. I stopped cheering. I don't even know how old I was, but when people ask like, "Oh, what sports did you play?" It's like I completely blocked out that whole part of my life and
Yeah,
I
that's
like
so
don't
funny.
even
Me
think
too.
about it anymore. It feels like forever ago. But no, it was a huge part of my life. I spent a lot of time with my mom traveling around.
Hmm.
And I just got to the point where I felt like I didn't have much of a relationship with my dad because I was with my mom 24/7. So I was like, okay, I don't even know how old I was. Like maybe fifth grade going into middle school. And I was like, okay, what do I know about my dad? He loves football. Okay, that's about it. He loves football. So I started watching every Sunday, learning. I remember I would make flashcards. I would start with like every starting quarterback in the NFL, and I would have my dad test me. And then I would go to like the starting running backs in the NFL. I would have my dad test me. I wanted
Oh my
to
God, he
know.
probably loved that.
Yeah. Anytime we're together, even now, we just talk about football.
Yeah.
But I would have him test me. I wanted to know everything he knew. He's the most knowledgeable person. Like, I could ask him what happened in the 1980 whatever Super Bowl, and he would be able to tell me off the top of his head. And then I really started falling in love with football, especially the more you know, obviously
Hmm.
the more it's just fun. And I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan because of my dad. So
Okay.
it just became like our thing.
Yeah.
And I played football. I started in middle school, flag football. Funny story, I actually asked first my parents if I could play tackle football. They said no.
Okay.
So they put me in flag, and I think I just would see specifically Aaron Andrews on the sideline and be like, wait a minute, you can do that as your job?
Yeah.
Like, that looks like the coolest job ever. Sign me up. So, long story short, I have known since I was young.
I love that. And for everybody listening, and we'll get all into your social media too, but you have such a cool video on your TikTok with Derrick Henry, and you're like, please don't retire. Like, I'm going to be a sideline reporter
Oh my
one day. Like,
goodness.
you need to wait for me. And he's like,
Yes.
okay. And some of the comments were like, wait, like, are there rumors like he's retiring? And you're like, well, no. Like,
No, no,
I'm just trying to get him to make sure that I finish
exactly.
my degree and I get there. That is so amazing.
Exactly. No, I was with my dad. We were in line to meet Derrick Henry. And I literally asked him, I was like, what do I say? Like, I don't want to be basic and just be like, hi, like,
Yeah.
you're awesome.
You're
I don't know.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
he was like, tell him what you want to be. Like, tell him you're going to go to the NFL. So it's like, okay.
That
Yeah.
is so amazing. Okay, so it sounds like the program is going really well. You're posting on social media on your TikTok. Are you posting on Instagram too?
Yeah, so I actually took a little break since this last semester ended. I've just been so busy, but this last week I've gotten back to posting a lot on TikTok, which that content is also going onto my Instagram.
Yeah,
Yes.
honestly, I hate Instagram. Like, it's so
I
much
hate
better posting on
it.
TikTok.
I
And then you
hate
go and post
it.
the same things on Instagram, and
I
it's
hate it. It's
not
so much
the
more
same.
embarrassing. It's so much more embarrassing for some reason.
That's hilarious. Well, okay, but my question was for you. Do you have any advice for women who might be starting to think about a career in sports?
Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice when girls reach out to me is always start your social media presence. So, I don't want to say easy because it's not easy, but it's an easy first step you can take without getting like having to get an internship, without having to get a job. I feel like it's the most free experience. If
Yeah,
you
that's a really
can
good
put
point. I like
yourself,
that.
yeah, if you can put yourself on social media, and it's so embarrassing at first. I tell everyone, like, so embarrassing at first, especially when I started the Instagram side of that. I was like, no, if you know me, please don't follow me. But yeah, that's always my biggest piece of advice. Look at getting into social media and look at other girls that want to do the same thing, reach out to them. It's been a pretty like good community of girls on
Mhm.
TikTok, at least that I've met so far, that are always willing to chat with you and give you advice. So that's what I would say. Just reach out to people and start your social media presence now.
I totally agree with you because it really is free. Like, it's free to make a TikTok account, it's free to make Instagram, YouTube, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, I mean, it is hard, like figuring out the things to post and curating that and
Mhm.
actually putting in the effort. Like, it does take time. And it's not just like easy, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really easy. You press a button with your finger,
Exactly.
you say something, you do whatever you
Yeah,
want,
you
you
just gotta
maybe
go
click a
for
little
it.
bit, boom, done. Like, it
Boom.
really is easy in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things. I always see all the time, and like, I'm so bad at it that it's like, just post. Like, just don't even really think too hard about it. Like, just get that consistency of posting, which I think is just great advice. And I completely agree. The community of women who love sports, who work in sports, on TikTok especially, it
Yes.
it has blown me away how
Yeah.
supportive everybody is. So I agree. Really amazing advice. Anybody listening who wants to talk about sports or has opinions that they just want to share about the teams that they love, just post them. Just do it. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, because especially coming from the people that are also trying to do the same thing, like, they will not judge you. We all had to start,
100%.
like, if getting judged from like a different, I don't know, community, which that was my experience. Even like people I knew personally from high school. And it's like, okay, well, all that matters at the end of the day is the people who are trying to get to the same point and who have made it are not the ones judging you. I can promise
That's
you
so
that.
true.
You all have to start somewhere.
I love that. It really is so true. It's like anybody who's judging you, one, is not a good friend of yours, and it's
Yeah,
fine,
first of
whatever.
all,
Then they
hasn't
like
even
leave
tried.
themselves out, or they're jealous because who
100.
doesn't wish that they can post online and
Exactly.
all the sponsorships and all the stuff that you can get, all that like just grow
Yeah.
your platform. Like a lot of the times that they wish that they could do it and they just don't have the confidence
100%.
to do it. And it's so true. Anybody who like actually wants to see you succeed or is successful in this field, they're never gonna be like, oh my god, that's so embarrassing.
Never. Ever. Exactly.
So I want to talk about your experience at the Paris Olympics. So tell me all about that. How, as a student in sports journalism, did you get to there?
So I always tell people right off the bat, it goes to show, like I said, Arizona State University, the opportunities, because that's how I was able to go. First of all, I already can't believe it was a whole year ago. It
It's
doesn't
so
feel like
crazy.
that.
I guess it
Crazy.
was like really around like it's July, isn't it? August? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
like I left for Paris last year in July. And so
Okay.
like I cannot believe how fast the time is flying.
Yeah.
It was the December before that July, and I think all journalism students at the Walter Cronkite School got an email about a study abroad, and it was
Cool.
to go to Paris and cover the Olympics as a student journalist. So initially, I was not going to apply. I was like, that sounds so out of reach. I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't tell my parents about it because I was like, that's so out of reach. I'm not even going to try. And then I think it was like literally the night before applications were due. And I told my mom, I was like, well, like, it's a lot of money, so like I wasn't gonna apply, but like there is this opportunity. And she's like, Courtney, like you just like what's gonna hurt turning in an application? Just see what happens. So I remember that night I worked on the application for I don't know how long, hours maybe, to turn it in. I got an answer by I think the end of January that I
Okay.
was accepted. Oh, I was so excited. And then it's funny because the closer the time got, I was super nervous. I'm such a homebody. I get so homesick from my
Okay.
mom. And I was like, how am I going to go? Even though it was only for about 3 weeks, nothing crazy, but I was like, I'm gonna miss my mom. So whatever. Okay, the time comes. It's July. I go, and luckily, my one of my best friends, Sydney, she is a photographer at
Okay.
ASU, and she also got accepted to go because there were different roles. So I actually got accepted to go as a content creator
Okay, nice.
for Cronkite News, which is our school's news outlet. And she got accepted as a photographer. Other people did writing, broadcasting, producing. So there were a couple different roles. So I went specifically as a content creator. And we get there, and everything is just super well accommodated. Like they have people there to pick us up from the airport, to take us to the hotel. We have translators almost like 24/7
That's
there.
nice.
Yeah. We rented out a room in the hotel that acted as our newsroom. So every morning at 8 a.m. we had to be in the newsroom. So it was
Oh,
like
that's so
kind of
cool.
trying to mimic like real life covering news. So yeah, 8 a.m. meetings. And what was great about it was you weren't supervised 100% of the time. Like a lot of the responsibility was truly on us. They were like, you can do whatever you want as long as you get your assignments done and you're at the morning meetings at 8 a.m. That's all they
Okay.
cared. So we had a lot of freedom. It was really fun though. We didn't get as much access as we initially thought. So we didn't
Okay.
go to any matches or games unless you bought tickets. But I did get to go to men's USA basketball practice. We did have access to practices
Cool.
and
That's
I was
really
like,
cool.
yes, I was like, if I like, it's so basic because like we obviously have our NBA players here, and the Olympics is the Olympics. But I was like, I want to go to men's USA basketball practice.
But still, I mean, of course, you have literally the best players in the world.
Exactly, like when else
In
would I
Monroe.
have that opportunity?
Yeah, 100%.
Last minute, that opportunity to go to practice came up, and so I got to see like LeBron practice, Steph Curry, like all of them, and I was starstruck, and I was like, oh no, like this is supposed to be my job and I'm starstruck. I think eventually that's supposed to wear off, but
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
the
yeah.
exposure.
Yeah, so that was super awesome. What I tell people is it was really just being there with my classmates and experiencing all of it at the same time, going to the Eiffel Tower with all of them. Like, that's really what made the trip. And I would do anything to go back. I think about Paris every single day. I miss it.
I love that. And that's so crazy. You almost didn't apply. Like
I
that's
know.
honestly
I
nuts. Like
almost
the night before, and it's like how different things could have been.
exactly. And I know myself, if I didn't apply and I saw everyone, I would have been so jealous. So I'm so glad my mom made me apply.
It makes me think of when Lauren from the Hills didn't go to Paris, and you'd always be known as the girl who didn't go to Paris.
What embarrassing. Yeah. I know
So
exactly.
thankfully you went. Thank God. That is too good. Okay, well, yeah, I'm so glad that you went. I'm so glad that your program, it sounds like it's working out amazingly for you and such incredible opportunities. This is so weird to me because the next Olympics in winter is in Milan, and I just wouldn't have thought of Italy as like
Yeah.
a wintry place.
Winter. You're right. That actually never even crossed my mind. That's so true. I never really.
Maybe we'll catch you there. I mean, I guess, well, no, yeah, it'll be next year. So you'll have been graduated, I guess, by that point, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll see you back. Or we'll
Ooh,
see you working for like Fox or ESPN or something.
hopefully.
Right, so let's talk a little bit about the Cowboys. So have you lived in Arizona your whole life? Or is there like any connection with your dad to Texas or anything
No,
like that?
no
I love it.
connection.
No,
Which
I
is
love
like,
that.
no, like I hate telling people because they're like, okay, bandwagon. Well, first of all, I haven't seen them win anything in my
Yeah,
21 years of living.
yeah.
So no, I am born and raised in Arizona. My
Okay.
parents are from actually near Buffalo, New York. Most of my family back there are Bills fans.
Okay, I love the Buffalo Bills. I love them.
Yes, we love them too, just because, yeah, most of my family, they are Bills fans. You can't hate Josh Allen. You
I was
really
gonna say, they're such an easy team to just love.
to love,
Yeah.
really. So my parents moved out to Arizona, I think in the 90s.
Okay.
And yeah, that's where the story ends. There are no connections to Texas. I think my dad said when he was super little, like the first NFL game he had ever put on the TV was the Cowboys, and that's how
Yeah.
he like chose his team. And he just stuck with it. And now, yeah, my whole family, we're huge Cowboys fans. So.
I absolutely love that. In the middle of Arizona.
Yes, which you would be surprised because I'm from, like I said, Tucson, which is 2 hours from Phoenix, and
Okay.
the Cardinals play in Phoenix. Well,
Yeah.
more specifically, Glendale.
Okay.
So Tucson, I feel like doesn't really like claim the Cardinals. You won't see a ton of Cardinals. You'll see every team in the nation, but the
That's
Cardinals.
just so funny to me. They don't claim them.
They
They
don't even
don't
like,
want
I
them.
swear we don't even claim the Cardinals here because we're just far. I don't know, but like Tucson's a very diverse city when it comes to NFL teams. Like
Okay,
really
okay.
everybody, yeah,
I love that. Well, I mean, back to, I guess it was it was the first round of the playoffs, and horrible, like all the fires were in LA, and
yes,
the Vikings were playing in LA, and then they moved it to State Farm Stadium, and everybody
Arizona.
was kind of saying, like, It's gonna be a home game for the Vikings, or it definitely like there's
Yeah.
so many fans of other teams. So in all
Yeah.
honesty, looking back, it probably was a really great spot, but it definitely was
Yeah.
not a home game
Exactly.
for the Rams, but they still won, so
Certainly not.
whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was pulling. I was really pulling for the Vikings that game. I was.
I mean, I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm hoping, I'm praying. I feel good about it every year. And
Right?
then
I get it.
you see,
I
well, yeah,
get
you definitely do get it.
it. I get
So,
it.
well, that's the thing too. I remember being younger and just like just watching football on TV with my dad and my brother and like not
Hmm.
really caring that like I'm just in the background like doing
Right.
backflips and stuff. Like I just didn't
Yeah.
really care about football at that time. But my understanding was like the Cowboys were a good team. Like I always knew America's team. Oh, actually, well, need to. I need to write this down because we need to talk
Yeah.
about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. If you've
Oh,
watched the new season, but and I just always thought like they're a good team, but then
yeah.
once you really get into it,
Right. No.
it's tough. It's tough out there for you
Right.
guys. I feel
It's
for you.
really tough because that's the thing is like ever since I really started watching the Cowboys, we haven't really had like we've had maybe one or two horrible seasons, like 3-13. But the thing about the Cowboys is usually it always looks like there's so much hope, and
Yeah.
we do usually have the talent there, and then it just never amounts to anything. So like we do get our hopes up so high because we're never terrible, but then we never live up to the expectations. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, ready to do it again the next season.
I completely agree. And sometimes it's almost worse. Well, I don't know. The pros and
No,
cons to it because it gives you that fun season. It gives you those hopes. You're looking at the end. You're looking at the playoff percentages. Like, what can we do? Unless it's zero, like, it's not over. Crazier things have happened, that sort of thing. Versus, like, you just know it's a bad year. And
year,
it's
right? I feel like
you
I've
just
talked
know.
about this with my dad 100 times. I don't know what's worse. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I have a fun season and then completely choke in the playoffs or just be bad from the start. I don't know what's worse.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't really know about a lot of the off-season moves that the Cowboys have made, but are you feeling good moving into September?
I am, honestly. I'm really excited, obviously, about the biggest move we made, George Pickens.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I think Dak has no excuse. Like, we
Okay.
really have the weapons. And on the topic of Dak, it's his last season to prove himself on the Cowboys. I will defend Dak till I die. I love
Okay.
him. But, like,
But
the truth every year it's like okay what's gonna happen and then it's the same outcome so I think this season really is going to determine his future. I think it's whatever like his mental block is especially in the playoffs.
yeah.
If you remember a couple seasons ago, he was on the MVP list. He was having a great season, and then
Yeah.
come playoffs, it's like mental. Like all of a sudden, he
Yeah.
can't read the defense. So I really think this is his last season. And one more thing is our offensive line. That's a question going into this season. We drafted a lot. So
Okay.
that's kind of hard to predict right now how good our line is going to be. And hopefully our line's good. So Dak has time. So.
I'm
We'll
just
see.
looking at the schedule here. Do the Vikings play the Cowboy? They do, December
You.
14th.
Okay.
I think, yeah, it looks like it's actually in Dallas. So, well, there's a group of girls that met on Vikings Twitter, and we want to do an away game, but we just don't really know where. There's certain stadiums that I think, like, a group of women going to the opposing team stadium is just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like Philadelphia, I'll come right out and say it. We're like, oh, okay, that we'll cross that off the list. But
Yeah.
Dallas was a contender.
As I would highly recommend AT&T Stadium. I've been there a couple of times
Okay,
because we never, even if the Cowboys like play the Cardinals, like we just never will like pounce to spend our money on that because we love saving our money to go to Dallas for home
for
games.
sure, for sure.
Well, I've been there a couple of times. That's the one thing about AT&T Stadium my dad and I always talk about. We have never seen opposing fans be treated horribly. Like anywhere
That's
we've
really
sat
good.
outside of the seating, like it's truly that Southern hospitality that
Okay, that's nice.
Kinty brings. So I feel like you guys would have a great experience there. It's
That's
funny
really
you
good to know.
mentioned Philadelphia. Even my dad, I mean, obviously Cowboys, Eagles, like that's already bad enough.
Yeah.
But my dad even has said like he would never go to Philly. Like we would never go to a Philly game.
Which is like just such a crazy reputation to
Right?
have.
They're
It's
crazy.
just, it's like wild to think about. Well, actually, I mean, this episode won't be out for another week, but
Okay.
the episode that I just am putting out this week is the difference between the National Football League and the Canadian Football League. And something that we do touch on is that, like, I mean, it's Canada. We're all just so nice. Like, I mean, the level of investment, and that's why we do kind of say like the NFL has the CFL beat like tenfold there, is that like the fans are just so passionate about
So
football. Meanwhile, here it's like it's just like a fun little summer activity. So the CFL is a good. If you're missing football, I recommend
okay,
try to
I've
stream a
never
CFL
listened to
game
this
somewhere.
CFL. Good to know.
All right, Courtney. Well, I mean, December 14th, I'll hit you up and
December
we'll
14th, we'll definitely be
we'll have to
talking.
debrief the game.
Yes, for sure.
Right, well, I think I've hit everything. My last question for you, Courtney, and I ask everybody who comes on the show this question. Obviously, the name of the show is called Name One Player. That kind
Yes.
of came to be with the classic question that a lot of women get hit when they talk about
Yeah.
sports. Well, can you even name one player, name three players, name five players, whatever it may be? And it sounds like with your flashcards, you could have named every player
Yeah,
that you
I'm like,
wanted to.
please, test me.
I know sometimes I like wait for the question to come. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna answer
Right,
this?
like I would love to hear this. Yeah.
But my question for you is, do you have any favorite times that you've been made to prove that you know what you're talking about?
So, first of all, I would say getting into social media in general has been eye opening. The comments, everything. I've learned to just ignore comments.
Yeah.
But I would say that's definitely an area I see comments almost daily kind of discrediting me, but I'm like, whatever. Social media, it doesn't affect me anymore. However, when I was a sophomore in college, we had
Okay.
a class called sports reporting where we would get assigned a high school and we would basically be a beat writer for that high school, and we could pick what sport we wanted to cover. I obviously chose football, and so I was a beat writer for this high school football team. And I remember this one game particularly. It really wasn't anything crazy, but I was on the sideline just taking notes throughout the game, and then there's this guy kind of near me. I think he was a cameraman, but he was just talking the whole game, not to me, just like his commentary in general. Kind of like one of those people who like talk out loud to themselves, wanting people to hear them and think, wow, they're really knowledgeable, like they
Yeah.
know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. But he was doing it in like an egotistical way, whatever, this whole time, and giving me dirty looks on the sideline as if like I shouldn't be there, or like what was I doing there?
Yeah.
So I remember there was this one play where the corner and the receiver both like came down with the ball, like tie
Okay.
ball. And of course the refs spend forever on this because that's how it always goes. But this guy was so short, was gonna go to the defense, and I was kind of just letting him like think what he wanted to think. And then I remember I had to go somewhere else, and he was kind of like just giving me a dirty look. So I remember as I like passed by, I was like, and by the way, the ball always goes to the offense. And then like I just kind of like continued on. So it wasn't anything crazy. It was more of just like this guy is giving me looks like I shouldn't be here, and now this is my time. He's wrong. The ball goes to the offense when it's a tie. So I said what I
Good for
said.
you. Good for you. And you know what? That's amazing. Just like walking away too before even getting his
Before
reaction.
even getting an answer or anything. And I remember after the game, I called my dad just to tell him.
Is that's a really good story. I wonder what this guy's up to today.
I have no idea.
Well,
Maybe that made him like rethink his whole life. Maybe he's not even covering sports anymore. Just kidding. No.
well, if he is, hopefully he's brushed up on the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it can be confusing. I know it can, but
It
like if you're gonna come out with that like egotistical, I know there's an
know it
element of like
all.
fake it till you make it, but like don't then be rude to other people.
Right. Like know what you're talking about if you're gonna be rude.
Yeah, oh my god, that is hilarious. I was gonna say sorry that happened to you, but like no.
It was more of a
I'm
power
really
move
glad
than
that happened
anything,
because that
yeah.
is an incredible story. That's too good. All right, Courtney. Well, thank you so much for coming on. That's all that I have for you today. It's been a great conversation.
Yes, ugh,
Yeah,
I loved it.
congratulations on making it to your last year. And I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see what comes from your degree and everything that you're doing online. So, also, to share where everybody can find you online.
Okay, I everything is Courts Reports, COURTSREPORTS on TikTok, Courts Reports, Instagram, Courts Reports. TikTok definitely way more content on there that I get too embarrassed to post on Instagram, and then YouTube as well, Courts Reports. So
Amazing. Okay, yeah, I'll be sure to link all of that, tag all of that. But yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on.
thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much to Courtney for that amazing conversation. I love having women on here who have gone the route of formal education in sports. Because I often have women ask me, how did you get a job in sports? What did you study in sports? Two things. I don't have a job in sports. I mean, I don't consider this my job. I would love to one day consider this my job, but right now I don't consider this my job. I have a job in the mental health field. And two, I have a psychology degree. I did actually take a sports psychology class and it was my absolute favorite class. And I do remember in that moment, our teacher was so cool too. He was a former NHL player. He was great. And I do remember in that moment, it was like the crossroads of life that it's like, do I go down the route of sports? And I did it. But that's okay, you know, it's led me here. But it's impossible for me to answer other people asking me for advice about schooling in the sports field, specifically sports journalism. So thank you so much to Courtney for coming on and sharing your expertise. I hope the rest of your degree goes amazingly. It definitely sounds like it will. All right, everybody, I think that's it from me. I just hope that you all have a great week. I hope that you enjoyed listening. Definitely catch up on any other episodes that you've missed. Like always, it would mean the absolute world to me if you were able to like the Name One Player podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Subscribe, rate the episode, leave me a little comment if that's an option on the platform that you're listening on. The engagement, one, really helps me, and two, really makes me happy. Just hearing from you all and seeing what you thought of the episode. It's the best. It's one of my favorite parts of this whole podcast experience. All right, everybody, I hope you have an amazing week. Take care, everyone. Bye.